Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be giving you an update on our homeschool year thus far. This is about the halfway point for us, and I thought that it would be a good time just to update you on how things are going. Now, if you are new here or you want to know what our curriculum plans are as a whole, I will link a playlist down below that I did, I think it was actually last spring, sharing what our curriculum plans were for this school year. So I will link that down below just if you're curious. But today I'm not going to talk about every single thing. I am going to talk about some changes. But first of all, I'm going to kind of walk you through how our year has been thus far. So let's talk about the very beginning of our school year. The very beginning of our school year, we were off to a fantastic start. Absolutely fantastic start. And we got into a really good rhythm and routine, and we got a good solid like 3 weeks in, and then bam, our family was hit with the sickness, and it affected us because my husband had some complications, it affected us pretty much for about a month. Well, because of that disruption in our home, in our lives, in our school, we have not quite been able to really get our grip on getting back into that full steam rhythm and routine that we were in at the beginning of the school year. And it's really frustrating, but at the same time, I have learned that we just, I don't know, like our family almost went through a little bit of trauma during that time, to be honest with you. And just really reminding myself of that, and that we are pushing forward and we are doing school, and it may look different than what it did before all of this hit our family. And that's okay. So just giving myself kind of the grace to realize that it's okay if it doesn't look the same. And so I guess we are creating a new type of rhythm and routine. And like I said, we're still able to do our school and get it in and things like that. And we're still enjoying it and making huge gains, and things are working really well, and so on and so forth. It just looks different, and it's not as what I like to call streamlined. We have a lot of disruptions in our schedule still, between like doctor's appointments for different kids, orthodontic appointments which are happening for one of our children, and just all of those things when you're in a large family and when you homeschool your kids. Those kinds of things, you have to make changes in your routine and things like that for the day. So it's just looking different right now. However, we are doing our quote holiday school for the holiday season right now. And what that looks like for us is that we really slow things down. I prefer to do it this way. I like to really kind of soak in the season, and just really focus on what the purpose of this time of year is. And I actually really love doing that. We're done pretty much with our Christmas shopping, and that has been a huge help just because it's just one less thing to worry about. And so as far as, sorry, rabbit trailed there, as far as the holiday schooling for us, how that works for us is we just slow things down. My goal is to do math and reading / language arts, and lots of reading, which I shared a video recently of what's in our morning basket for the month of December. Our morning basket is really more like a book basket and a day starter. We don't only do it in the morning. It's literally a basket that sits on my table over here, and I just switch the books out in it with all of the selections that we're doing for the month. So that's really what our morning basket is. But in that video, I share some of the things we're going to be reading. So I'll link that down below as well if you're interested in that. But because of that slowdown for the holiday season, we just love just to read fun kind of holiday centered books and things like that. And I try to choose a lot that are also historically focused, so that gets kind of the history aspect in there as well. So that's kind of how things work through the holidays. So I'm very, very hopeful that once January comes and we every January, I kind of do like a hard restart, almost like it's the beginning of a school year again, just to get us pushed back into the full-on rhythm and routine that I like to typically run things on. And I know everybody's different. That's just how I am. I'm not like a hardcore, like at 1 o'clock we do this, at 9 o'clock we do that. But I do like to have that solid rhythm and routine, just so we build in that expectation and we build in just getting everything that needs to be done as much as possible in for the day. All right, so let's talk about the changes in our homeschool. Now, for my he's not in fifth grade, sorry, my sixth grader, I was actually planning to use the Good and the Beautiful language arts with him. That's what we used last year. It worked really well for him. But we changed. So before we even started it, I just realized I really kind of wanted to change things up a little bit. We were already doing like read alouds with the Progeny Press, like study guides for him to do and things like that, like independent read alouds for him. And so I just really kind of wanted to streamline things a little bit, and I'm going to explain that. Okay, so let's talk about that streamlining. Okay, so sixth grade. In the past, his history as far as language arts, he has done a curriculum called Junior Analytical Grammar. And the way analytical grammar is it is very full force, like sentence diagramming to the max and all that kind of stuff. So he is very, very, very well versed in things like grammar and sentence structure and all that kind of stuff. Plus, because he kind of continued on with the Good and the Beautiful last year, that kind of helps kind of support and reiterate it. All that to say, because he has such a solid foundation in that kind of stuff, what I wanted to focus on this year with him is continuing to support what he already knows. And so because of that, we are doing the reading guides with the Progeny Press, the reading, the read alouds, independent read alouds for him, along with the Progeny Press study guides. So I switched his language arts actually to Fix-It Grammar. And we are pretty far into this. We do 2 to 3 days worth in one day, typically. So I really like Fix-It Grammar. I actually taught this as a class at our co-op last year. All of this is review for him, but again, I just want that support in there. But also, the way that this program works is it's more so like picking out what needs to be fixed in these sentences, and then also labeling the different parts of speech and vocabulary. All of those things are what I want him to continue with, and it only takes about 15 minutes a day. And I just don't feel like he needs to spend more time than that on something like this. This kind of hits what needs to be hit, if that makes sense. So we switched to this and then continued with the Progeny Press guides, and I am very, very pleased with that decision. So I ended up selling the Good and the Beautiful language arts, and then we are moving on with the structure and style writing, and this is actually what we are starting in January. So I feel like all of those things are going to make a really solid foundation as far as language arts and things like that go. So that was our big change, I guess. The other thing that I have not talked about yet is last year I shared a lot about a curriculum for my son who has dyslexia, and we used Pride Reading. I absolutely love Pride Reading. Like, I cannot say enough good things about it. It is a very, very solid and thorough program. However, it is very time consuming and very, very, very teacher intensive. So I want to make sure people understand that. It was very intensive for him. It was equally as intensive for me. It is 45 minutes every single time that you do a lesson, every single day. Like I said, it's very effective, but it gave us that solid foundation to then move into something that wasn't quite as intensive, and it has worked beautifully for us. So that's why we're not using Pride this year. I just wanted to almost pull back a little bit from how intensive it was, because it allowed him to gain finally that solid foundation and being able to actually read. Okay, because we were just trying to get to that point. We were just trying to get to the point where he could name all the letter sounds. Okay, like that was even an issue at the time when we started the program. And we got to that point through using Pride Reading, despite the fact that we had tried so many other reading programs, and Pride Reading worked extremely well for us. So I do still highly, highly recommend it. But I also think it has to work for your family's needs. Okay. So this year we have been using All About Reading. So I started him at level 2, okay, because after the first level of Pride, this seemed to be the natural way to move in. He has done extremely well with this curriculum. I am very, very, very pleased. He is, I mean, I'm just so proud of him. I can't even begin to express the amount of growth he has had, the amount of gains he has had, because this has been a long road for us and a huge struggle for him. And so having that foundation in Pride and now using All About Reading, both programs I'm absolutely loving. So it is just working extremely well. I'm very, very happy with that decision as far as moving into a different curriculum. It is a 20-minute intensive lesson with him versus the 45-minute every day. He is not getting overwhelmed and tired and frustrated, and so yeah, it's working really well, and I'm really pleased with that change in our curriculum. The other change for us is, in the past, we have had a few kids who were in like a different math curriculum or something. I have since this year changed everybody back over to Christian Light Education Math, because out of everything that I have tried in the 8 years that I've been homeschooling, it by far is a winner in my book. So Christian Light Education Math all around, and it's working beautifully, wonderfully, and we love it. So that is kind of the changes as far as with our homeschool. And I'm really looking forward, like I said, to January and doing that kind of hard reset, restart. But the rest of our curriculum, I feel like this year is the first year really that I have felt like every bit of our curriculum is working well for us. And I think a big part of that is because we are making it work for us rather than working for our curriculum, which is always one of the biggest words of advice I have for homeschooling moms or dads. With all that said, I want to thank you guys for hanging on. I want to thank you guys for joining me for this video. I would love to know down in the comments below, how is your year going? Is it going well? Are you having some ups and downs? Are you having a few struggles? Are you having some great wins and great gains? Share those down in the comments. Let's get chatting down there, and I will see you guys on future videos, and I hope that you have a blessed day.